That might be the biggest one I've ever caught out here. Giant crappie, guys. That is a tank crappie. Beautiful fish. Beautiful. I live for that. All right, friends, before I go any deeper on this, let's talk about something that's just kind of the reality of it. If you are crappie fishing and you're a crappie fisherman, you probably already have electronics, and if you don't, I would get some. They are so crucial to finding these fish. Crappie are a suspending species. They are generally always suspending unless it's the spawn. In my experience, that is how I've always found them. They love wood, and you need those electronics to find that cover and find those suspending fish. When I find those brush piles, I mark them immediately with buoys. I like to mark the buoys just outside the brush pile, and then you can use those buoys as a frame of reference for where that brush pile is. I don't like putting the buoys right on top of or in the brush pile because, in my opinion, those buoys and their tether is something that's just a little bit off and might be off-putting to those fish. Lastly, I think, and this is very opinionated, but I think some of the best lures to use on really glassy days, even if the water is muddy, is use very natural baits. Downsize them, natural lures. I have a hard time believing that these fish are working off of sight to find these tiny lures in these tough conditions. So we're gonna get back out there, catch a couple more, and maybe give you guys a few more details along the way. Stay tuned. Come on, damn it. All right, folks, we came up on another brush pile, and the first one is a dinger. We'll show that fish to you. Another probably 14-inch fish, white crappie. What a beautiful, beautiful fish. Again, beautiful fish. Look at that thing. Get that fish back, and we'll talk about what we did to come up on that giant crappie. With the conditions being so calm, quiet, and glassy, there's nothing to obstruct those fish's senses, and that is why I'm being so quiet when I come up on these brush piles. I do not want to do anything to startle those fish. Even when I'm dropping my buoys, I'm just gently dropping them in the water. As I was marking the brush pile, I noticed there was a lot of shad in the area. I love fishing brush piles that have forage near them. It only makes your odds better of coming up with a nice fish or several. So let's get back out there. Let's see what we can do. Oh my gosh, guys, another tank. Look what I caught it on. This is how subtle I'm going, guys. Natural lure, 1/32 ounce jig head. Just quietly dropping to those fish, and there's another tanker, guys, a tanker. We're gonna have to get a measure on this thing. 14.75, almost a 15-inch crappie. Just the juice. Giant. That might be bigger than my first one. Insane. Get that fish back. He's been out long enough. I swear by it, guys. That is what pays off from just being quiet. Look at that fish. Unreal. As I'm looking at my flasher, I'm seeing that there are some higher red marks, ones that were not there earlier. So I can assume that some crappie are suspending above the trunk part of this tree. Those electronics, if you use them often, they can paint a brilliant picture of what's going on down there just by spending time on the water and using them regularly and in tandem. I'm using them together. I use my down and side imaging to know which way the cover breaks to, if it breaks off to the left or to the right, and then I'm using my flasher to really understand how that cover is set up under the water vertically. I can see where all the big limbs are. Another thing I forgot to mention was I am using these buoys also in tandem with my down and side imaging, because what those buoys' purpose is I always have a point of reference of where I am at on the cover. Those buoys are marking kind of where the main part of the cover is, but I know that the trunk breaks off just before and just to the right of that buoy. So I can kind of paint a picture of exactly how that tree is laid out, and where I pick up one fish, I can look at the buoy and know exactly where that last fish came up from, even if I am drifting, and I can go right back to that same spot. I was about 4 feet off that buoy, kind of just a bit to the right and a bit towards me. So I know that that is exactly where I'm gonna go paddle up to and drop this jig again, because that is where the last 3 fish have come from. And what that also does is it gives the main part of the cover a break. The fish that are settled in that area have probably gotten used to seeing that jig and they're tired of it. So I moved over to this secondary part of the cover, and I'm giving new fish with fresh eyes a look at that jig. And while I do that, it allows that to cool out. As long as they don't really have a good idea that you're there, you can just keep picking them off. Comes another good one. Not bad at all with that 16th ounce. I can still maintain the control I had when I didn't have any wind. So guys, what a ridiculous day of crappie fishing just by fishing slow. Crappie are always a fish that loves to stare at their lure. So just fish slow, guys. Seriously, just fish slow. Even if it's a hot bite, you'll probably pick up more just by fishing slow. In summary, get yourself some electronics, at minimum an ice flasher, to send sonar down, bounce back some sort of image, and find a very primitive visual of cover and of suspending fish. The end all be all is just being proficient with the electronics that you do have. You can catch these fish on any electronics. The other deal is be quiet. I am not gonna understate this, especially on days where there's no wind. Get yourself some electronics. Does not matter what kind. Get proficient at those electronics and using them. Get yourself some buoys to help you stay over that cover that you found. Keep it down. Try to keep your volume and your splashing and everything you have to do to catch those fish to a minimum. You do not want those fish to know that you were there. That's all I got, guys. Like and subscribe if you dig it. Appreciate all of you for dropping by, all of you for the engagement and just checking out the channel. Anything is appreciated. Take care. I'll see you soon. Bye.